covering today will be a chocolate decadence cake. As the name suggests, it would be having a chocolate sponge and a chocolate fudge frosting. And towards the end, we'll quickly start and assemble a nice layered cake. Okay? So everybody is excited? Yes? Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
perfect. Perfect. I would request all of you to grab some pen and paper along with you. You can write on your questions there, and towards the end, you can ask me the questions, or you can note it down in the chat box if you guys want. Or the other way is whenever we'll in between, like frosting and sponge preparation, in between we can quickly take a few questions. You can directly ask me the questions then, but I don't want all of you to unmute every time and ask me the questions, otherwise I'll tend to like not continue with my flow. Okay? Yes. And you can grab something to eat if you guys want and enjoy my session. Okay, let's do this. Are we ready? So the most important part here is, let me quickly cover a theory for you guys. A traditional layered cake is all about few layers of sponge, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 layers of sponge. But traditionally and ideally, a layered cake is all about 3 layers of sponge and few layers of like the 2 layers of frosting and maybe a filling if you guys are going with. Okay, today we don't have any filling, we'll be doing only frosting and sponge. So let's take a live example here, a practical example for you guys. Let's say you have to like do a cake delivery for tomorrow. You have got the client's requirement to you today and you have to deliver the cake tomorrow. So we need to prep up few things a day before. What are the things? You need to bake your sponge a day ahead, like a day prior to the delivery. You can do your decorations, like chocolate decorations, fondant decorations, etc. And these two things can be done a day prior. But the other thing is filling and frosting. You can also do filling a day prior, but frosting you should always do fresh. You needn't do your frostings one day in advance and store it in the refrigerator. It generally spoils the texture and flavor and taste of the frosting. So never do your frosting well in advance. Okay, filling can be done and sponge and decorations can be done a day prior. So once you are done with your sponge baking, you need to wrap it up like this. I have used a cling film to wrap. But Yogita, before that, I would spotlight, I will turn on my overhead camera. Why don't you spotlight it and see if the settings are perfect or not?
Yes, ma'am. You can turn on that video. I'll just spotlight that.
Yes. Is it visible to everyone?
Ma'am, wait a second. I'll just spotlight. Yes, visible.
Yeah, perfect. So you need to bake your sponge a day ahead and you can wrap it up like this in a cling film. This is the cling film wrap which you easily get in the market. You have rolls for it. So you can wrap it like this and store it in the freezer. Make a note, you store it in the freezer. Why I'm saying this? Because the refrigerator section generally has a property of taking away all the moisture from the sponge or anything which is kept inside. Otherwise, the freezer tends to absorb the moisture and traps it inside this cling film wrap. So you ideally what I do and I suggest for everybody out here, you should bake your sponge in advance. You can store it in the freezer wrapped nicely. If you don't have cling film, you can easily do it in a Ziploc bag if you want. Okay. Now, quickly coming to the recipe part of the sponge and the frosting, I'll quickly share my screen. I want all of you to grab the screenshot ASAP. Okay? Please, people, quickly take the screenshot because we have a lot more things to be covered for this particular session. Yes, here it is. Yeah, here it is, people. We have the chocolate cake, which is the chocolate sponge, and we have the frosting. Once you are done, quickly put down a yes or a done in the chat box, please. Perfect. Thank you, people. So, we'll start with the frosting. But before that, let me introduce the ingredients to you. I have some soft butter. By soft butter, I mean, I am starting with the frosting because I told you frostings are to be done freshly. As I've already, Nidhi ma'am, I'm trying to speak, cover both the languages. अगर आपको जहां समझ नहीं आता है आप मुझे रोक के आप पूछ सकते हो. I'll repeat it. मैं दोबारा उसको समझा दूंगी. अदरवाइज मैम दोनों लैंग्वेज कवर करेंगे तो फिर बहुत टाइम खिंच जाएगा. ठीक है? ओके. हेलो मैम. आई टोल्ड you can do your you have done your sponge, you have wrapped it like this, you have stored it in the freezer. Now if you have some decorations, you can do it, you can keep it ready. Now on the day of cake delivery, what you should prep up with. Now the first thing you need to do on the day of cake delivery is in the morning. Maybe if you have the cake delivery to be done in the afternoon, let's say 3-4 p.m. Okay. The first thing you need to do is you have to take out the sponge from the freezer and let it thaw on the countertop. By thawing, मेरा मतलब है आप फ्रीजर से केक को निकाल दो बाहर, काउंटर टॉप या आपका जो स्लैब होता है उस पे आप छोड़ दो, उसको वापस अपनी टेक्सचर एंड टेम्परेचर और अपने वापस उस टेक्सचर में आने दो. यस शांति मैम, आई एम ट्राइंग टू कवर बोथ द लैंग्वेजेस. You need to thaw your sponges completely and nicely. You have to give it a time for at least 2 to 3 hours. ठीक है? So that it comes back to the normal temperature. Now, while it is coming to the normal temperature, ma'am, thawing means usko वापस we are letting it sit and we are giving it time to come back to the original texture. Okay? So, meanwhile, you can quickly start with your frosting. You finish your frosting, you can keep your frosting after finishing in the refrigerator for 15 to 30 minutes. Why I'm saying this? Because frostings need to be spreadable consistency before you are using it, right? So you make the frosting, meanwhile quickly store it in the refrigerator for 15 to 30 minutes. You take it out, assemble and bring all the ingredients together. You can now layer the cake. Your sponge will be fine. It will be back to the original texture. Your frosting will be spreadable. Now you can easily assemble the cake. Okay. This is a rough idea what you are supposed to do. Ma'am, I'll be sharing the recipe again. Please, people, those who have missed out, quickly grab it. Yeah, here it is again for you guys.
Ma'am, the butter you are using, it is salt or unsalted, ma'am?
Yeah, I'm coming to it, ma'am. Let me introduce the ingredients. I'll tell you then. Okay. Yeah, people, I'm turning off the share option for now because we need to proceed. Yes. Now, guys, go and check your frosting ingredient list, which I've told. Shanti ma'am, we are still proceeding in this session. Don't worry, be patient. I'll be covering each and everything. Now, I have some salted butter with me. It is soft. By soft butter, I mean I'm able to touch it using my fingers and it is like making a mark of my finger. This is the perfect consistency we want for our frosting. Okay. Now, I have some dry ingredient. which is the icing sugar and cocoa powder. This I have sifted. Always make sure to sift your dry ingredients before using it for your cake batters, brownie batters, cookies batter, everything. Please. Now, I have some cream and chocolate here. I have not melted it. I'll quickly go and melt this. I have written warm cream just to make sure that you are not using a very chilled cream. If you are using a very chilled cream with a melted chocolate, it tends to seize your chocolate. By seizing, I mean the chocolate will develop granules and it will lose its texture. So always it is preferable to go ahead with a warm cream whenever you are mixing it with melted chocolate. Okay. Now, I have weighed both together, cream and chocolate. I will microwave it for 30 seconds and will come back and demonstrate the frosting recipe for you guys. Okay, people? Quickly, I'll melt this and come back.
Okay, so for the people who are saying that they were not able to take the screenshot, so what we can do is, many people have already taken the screenshot, so they can share that in the group of the BitClass app for this class only. Okay, so from the group you can check the screenshot. Okay, that will be shared. Which cream? Okay, ma'am will be telling the cream, don't worry. Just in a second she'll come. Sneha ma'am, the recipe ma'am shared the screenshot. So what you can do, जिन लोगों ने screenshot ले लिया है, those people can share in the BitClass group chat. वहां से you can check the screenshot. Can't we store at sponge and room temperature? Sorry, what is the name of cake? Yes, ma'am is coming in just a minute. You can ask all the questions. Zoya, don't worry. We also have just started. The entire session is still there. Ma'am, you're on mute.
Thank you, Yogita, for helping me out. Yeah, I have melted the cream and chocolate together. This is roughly a ganache, what we are looking for. Okay, let's begin with creaming the butter. We'll start with creaming the butter first. By creaming, I mean you need to whip up the butter till you get a nice and pale and fluffy texture of the butter. Okay, people? And you can easily use a hand whisk if you want. But for now, we quickly need to demonstrate. So I'm using a electric whisk for now. Okay? I'll stop and show where you need to just, which consistency of butter will be perfect. It is the 25% fat fresh cream, ma'am, which is the blue and white packet Amul cream, which you get in the market. Okay?
Yes, Khushali, it's a chocolate cake recipe. Sakina Mama shared the details on the chat also. Everyone can take the screenshot from there as well. I'll also share once again.
For people, those who are asking, it is a chocolate decadence cake we are covering for today. And see, you are seeing the color of the bright yellow color has vanished. It is now a paler yellow color which we have got. And it is quite voluminous and fluffy. This is what we want. You need to stop here. Now I go and add my dry ingredients. I told you I have sifted this batch. This is icing sugar and cocoa powder together. Okay, nothing else. I go mix this till I get everything incorporated well. Okay. Go slow on this, otherwise you'll tend to spill off. I'll use a spatula for now. If you don't have icing sugar at home, you can easily use the powdered sugar. Very fine powdered sugar can be used for the same. Okay. Is everyone with me? Hope you are not taking your naps, afternoon naps. Yes.
No, ma'am, we are awake.
Nice. Okay. Now it is roughly mixed. So I'm adding in my rough ganache, which I almost melted just now. I add in this. Make sure you scrape off each and every bit of it from the bowl. Yes. Great. Now, I go and mix everything together till everything is homogeneous. Okay.
Ma'am, please excuse me.
Ma'am, I have already shared the measurements for you guys. I guess you have not taken the screenshot for the same.
Ma'am, please excuse me.
Yes.
Ma'am, you are doing frosting, right, with butter. And
Yeah.
in our town, we use cream, like we do cream icing also. So will you
Okay.
please provide me that recipe also? Cream icing recipe.
Like currently, I am sticking to this particular recipe that we are doing, ma'am.
That
Maybe
was frosting
after
with butter.
towards the end of this class, or maybe in the next sessions that we are planning ahead, you can like get the resolution for the same. Okay, ma'am?
I just want to know what is the difference between frosting and icing. Which one is much better?
Okay, okay. We'll be covering it, ma'am. Let me finish this frosting and
Okay,
we'll
sure,
proceed in the
sure,
session. Okay, ma'am?
Okay,
Do remind me towards the end. Okay?
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
What cream, ma'am, you are using?
So I'm going to mix this till I get everything homogeneous. Looks good. Everything is lump free and thoroughly mixed. So I stop here. Okay. I'll use this spatula to scrape the sides of the bowl once to see that everything is mixed well. Yeah. We are good to go. Our frosting is ready. Looks yummy-licious. Tempting. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So now I keep this covered. I told you about the cling film. I'm going to wrap this up using a cling film from the top, and I'm going to store it in the refrigerator for at least 15 minutes. Meanwhile, we can quickly start with the sponge recipe. Okay, people? Why I'm saying this, you need to cover it, because if you don't keep it covered, the upper layer tends to dry out, which will give like a dry texture to your frosting, which won't be even and subtle to your palate. Okay, so always keep your frostings covered.
Ma'am, can you
Okay.
please repeat once again the frosting, whatever you did? Just one more.
It was the butter. We initially creamed the butter till everything was like the butter was light and fluffy and pale in color. Then we went ahead, we added the icing sugar and cocoa powder dry mix, which was a sifted batch. We incorporated it together. Then towards the end, we added the melted chocolate and warm cream, and we mixed everything together to get our fudge frosting. Okay.
Ma'am, what butter, ma'am? Is it salted or unsalted?
Yeah, I have used salted butter. I prefer a little bit of salt to balance out and cut out the excess sweetness from the frosting. Okay. It is your preference, but according to me, salted butter goes well with this.
Okay.
Ma'am, along with the warm cream, you took upon melted chocolate, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what chocolate was that? Was it the compound or the another chocolate?
No, it was Van Houten chocolate.
All right.
Okay, I'm going to keep this quickly, people. I'm going to keep this, throw this in the refrigerator quickly. And I will, before starting with the sponge recipe, we need to quickly do something which is very important. Quickly, can anyone tell me in the chat box maybe?
Cake.
No, before the sponge preparation, what you need to start off with? Preheating, perfect, ma'am. Yeah. Preheating my oven. I am going to preheat my oven at a temperature of 165 to 180, anywhere between 165 to 180 degrees. I am coming to the temperature differences after I come back. For 165 to 180, why I'm saying two different temperatures, anywhere between it. All the OTG people can preheat your temperature, your oven, and bake your cake at 170 degrees. And people, those who are using convection oven, like microwave convection oven, they can go ahead, bake it at 180 degrees. It is completely fine. Okay. So I am giving you a range of 165 to 180 degrees. Depending on the thing you have, you can get hold of the temperature. And I prefer preheating for at least 15 minutes because I want to be safe. I want to play safe with the temperatures. So ideally, I always do it for 15 minutes. Okay. Quickly, I'll preheat. I'll put this in the refrigerator and we'll be joining you guys very soon.
Ma'am, here you took warm cream. Warm cream means only at room temperature, or you have to warm the cream?
If you are using a room temperature cream, you can directly use it. But if you are using a refrigerated cream, then you need to warm it. Okay?
Yeah.
Quickly, people, I'll be joining you guys after I preheat my oven. Okay?
Guys, you can also type in your questions, or you can have your questions, because at the end of the session, we will have the question and answer round. So don't worry about it.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Hanji?
What is the difference between buttercream, icing, and whipping cream?
That Smriti ma'am is only going to tell you. She will be back in just a minute. So we can just wait till then. Yes.
Ma'am, I
Yeah,
have
people,
typed
I'm
the
back.
question.
Yeah. You can ask me the questions while I'm arranging this workstation.
So, ma'am, what is the difference between buttercream, icing, and whipping cream?
Buttercream is icing, can be of various types. Icing and frosting can be of various types. And the consistency also varies. Buttercream is basically a type of icing or a frosting where you incorporate butter, soft butter, icing sugar, and little bit of milk if you want. Okay, and whipping cream is the store-bought whipping cream that we get. It can be dairy-free or dairy whipping cream. Commercially, dairy-free whipping creams are more preferable because you don't alter, you don't mess up with the texture of the whipping cream then. Okay.
And ma'am, what is better, using whipping cream or buttercream?
Ma'am, it is completely on your client requirement. There are some restrictions when you are going with whipping cream because like fondant decorations, fancy chocolate artisanal decorations, they can whipping cream won't withstand all those. Like fondant is not at all suggestive with whipping cream, but it can go well with buttercream. So there are restrictions according to your usage. It varies. Okay.
Ma'am, what cake are you making
Okay,
today?
We are doing today a chocolate decadence cake, which has a chocolate sponge and a chocolate fudge frosting, to be very precise. Okay.
So ma'am, while we take the order, so we will ask them, do we make buttercream or whipping cream?
Yeah, you will ask your clients what frosting would they prefer.
Okay, ma'am, thank you so much.
Okay. And we'll stop the question session for now. We'll quickly start with the sponge and then again we'll take up the questions. Don't worry, people. Okay? Now, All of you check the screenshot that you have taken. It is the sponge recipe, which calls for some oil and castor sugar. It is the basic unflavored oil that I've used. I have used a sundrop oil that is like available in the market. Now, in the dry ingredient, I have some all-purpose flour, the basic ghar ka maida, the cocoa powder. I'm using a Van Houten cocoa powder, which is with medium intense darkness. Van Houten is the brand. Maida is the basic Rajdhani maida, which you get in the market. I'm using, now, the dry ingredient includes some, Vibha ma'am, I've already shown the screenshot where people have grabbed the screenshot. It has the ingredient list you need to take. Okay, so it has maida, cocoa powder, half teaspoon of baking soda, and a pinch of salt. I have some vinegar here, and I have some milk. This is the normal full cream milk which I use at home. You can take any milk. This is a Shilpa ma'am, don't worry. Let me proceed in the recipe. एक बार फिर से मैं screenshot दिखाऊंगी. ठीक है? This is the full cream milk which I'm using. You can take raw milk also if you want. Packet wala Tetra Pak milk is also fine. Castor sugar is a very fine, equal sized version of granulated sugar. We as a commercial pastry chefs, we usually have it in our pantry. It mixes very well with the cake batters, brownie batters, like cookie batter. So it is always preferable to use castor sugar if you are going with, like if you are doing commercial baking and things. But anyways, you can go ahead with powdered sugar. Ghar ka granulated sugar ko powder kar lo, pulse kar lo mixer grinder mein, you can use it. Don't worry. Okay. Okay, people. This will somewhat give me a 350 grams of cake, which I will use to make a half kg cake very easily. Okay. Now, I am going to add this vinegar to the milk. Now, what will this become? Anybody quickly with the answers? Ma'am, it is the normal Tops brand vinegar which I'm using. Synthetic vinegar which you get in the market. Yeah, perfect. Everyone is so pro and everything. Nice knowledge you have, people. So, this will turn out to be a buttermilk. We will be using buttermilk in our recipe. But if you don't want to go ahead, use vinegar and milk, you can easily get the store-bought buttermilk. छाछ जो हम बोलते हैं घर में हिंदी में छाछ, वो आप आसानी से मार्केट से ले आके you can use it in the recipe. Now, I would like to show you the texture the milk has turned out to be. You see the changes in the texture of the milk? Yes. It has curdled now. Okay. Now, the first thing we need to go ahead with, I'm going to mix this oil and sugar. I have added some vanilla to it. Okay, I'm going to mix this till everything is incorporated well. Ma'am, we are not using curd here. It is the buttermilk which we are using. Okay, it is mixed well. Now, I go and add my buttermilk. I mix this also. Yes, ma'am, you can use lemon easily if you want. I go and mix this till every wet mix is thoroughly mixed. Looks good, homogeneous enough. No egg, ma'am, no. We are doing an eggless recipe, ma'am. Now, I go in, I put in my dry ingredients, but before that, I would like to gently mix it. Why I'm doing so? Because I want my baking soda to be thoroughly mixed with each and every cocoa powder and flour. So it gives an even reaction. So what is the reaction involved behind our cake? I'll tell you. Yeah, Akshita ma'am, you can use both the beaters. It is a small quantity, so I didn't want you to use both the attachments. That's it. Ma'am, baking soda has to be there. I'm coming to it because I'll tell you the science involved behind our cake, which is very basic. I don't know, people must be knowing it, but I want to cover it just for people, those who are very new to this industry. Now, this is our buttermilk. This is our dry ingredient has soda. Now, when this baking soda comes in contact with the buttermilk here, it produces carbon dioxide bubbles. Now, this carbon dioxide bubbles stays there in the batter. When we keep it in the oven, that carbon dioxide bubbles, they release itself and they produce fluffiness and air and rise to your cakes. That is the biggest reason for a nice rise and fluffiness to your cakes. Now, we want a gradual reaction of the carbon dioxide bubbles, right? So we'll be adding our dry ingredients to the wet mix in parts. Never add all the dry ingredients at one go to your wet mix, because if you do it in one go, all the quick reaction of carbon dioxide will take place and it will vanish away. And hence, your cake will become denser. It won't get that nice fluff and rise which you want. Okay? So we'll be adding this in parts. Kalpana ma'am, मैं बता रही हूँ कि हमारे इसमें बटर मिल्क और बेकिंग सोडा का रिएक्शन हो रहा है. इस रिएक्शन से कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड के बबल्स फॉर्म होते हैं. वो कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड बबल्स जब रिलीज होता है ओवन में बेकिंग के समय, वो राइज और फ्लफीनेस हमारे केक को देता है. और आपको ये ध्यान रखना है कि आप पार्ट्स में ड्राई इंग्रेडिएंट्स को 3 से 4 पार्ट में हमेशा वेट मिक्स में डालें. मैं ऐसा इसलिए बोल रही हूँ क्योंकि हम नहीं चाहते हैं कि कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड रिएक्शन फटाफट से 1 मिनट में हो और वैनिश हो जाए. हम चाहते हैं कि वो बैटर में इंटैक्ट रहे और बेकिंग के समय वो थोड़ा थोड़ा रिलीज हो. इसलिए हम पार्ट्स में इसको डालेंगे. ओके मैम? नाउ आई एम एडिंग द फर्स्ट पार्ट. पहला पार्ट इज गोइंग इन. नाउ we generally, as a baker, as a pastry commercial chefs, we follow a particular texture to mix our batters. I'll show you. I'm just doing a fold like this, cutting in the middle. Yeah, Rishika ma'am, you are spot on. You are perfectly right. See, I'm just scraping the sides of the bowl, और बीच में आके I'm doing a cut mark like this. बोल को साइड में स्क्रैप करना है ऐसे, बीच में कट मार्क मारना है. इसको हम बोलते हैं कट एंड फोल्ड मेथड. हम सारे, मतलब हम एज अ बेकर, हम सारे बैटर्स जो भी हम बनाते हैं, डोज, सबको मिक्स करने के लिए ट्रेडिशनली एंड आइडियली हम यही मेथड फॉलो करते हैं, कट एंड फोल्ड मेथड. इस मेथड से क्या हम इंश्योर करते हैं कि हम बैटर को ओवर मिक्स नहीं करते हैं, और जितना कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड रिलीज हो रहा है वो ग्रेजुअली इसी में रहेगा. नहीं तो आप, अगर आप ज्यादा किसी और चीज से बहुत मिक्स करते हो और गलत पैटर्न फॉलो करते हो तो आपका कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड रिलीज भी हो जाता है बैटर से. वो आपको ध्यान रखना है. इसलिए कट एंड फोल्ड मेथड इज ऑलवेज अ गुड प्रैक्टिस टू फॉलो. व्हेनेवर यू आर स्टार्टिंग, आप बिगिनर हो तो आप ये मेथड हमेशा फॉलो किया करो. ओके, बट वी क्विकली वांट टू फिनिश इट, सो आई एम डूइंग इट विद इलेक्ट्रिक विस्क. आप जब नया नया स्टार्ट करो, whenever you are starting and beginning to bake your cakes, always use those traditional methods, basic principles को follow करते हुए आप केक बेक किया करो. Then you will get the hang of it. Then you will become much more pro and like technically good and sound with things. I'm adding the second batch here. Third batch goes in. The last batch goes in. Done. Easy peasy. Yes. The cake batter is very easy. With fuss-free ingredients, सारे ingredients you are easily getting it in your pantry and kitchen, right? No curd, no condensed milk, nothing. And trust me, the taste of this sponge is so good. Now, I've scraped the sides of the bowls because I don't want any unmixed flour to it. I'll stop. It is always good to under mix your cakes, but it is not good to over mix your cakes. Over mixing से I told you, एयर जो हमारे इसमें ट्रैप्ड है वो रिलीज हो जाएगा एंड आपका केक डेंस हो जाएगा अगर आप ओवर मिक्स करते हो. अंडर मिक्स विल नॉट डू बैड टू योर केक. ओके, आपको एक होमोजीनियस केक बैटर मिल गया है. नाउ all eyes on my like thing, because I'll be asking a quick question here. Now I have got a cake ring here. I have got a parchment paper. I generally reuse my parchment papers for 2 or 3 times. Ye cake ring hai, so I have wrapped it from aluminium foil from beneath because I don't want the batter to slide off. Okay, now all eyes on my workstation. Quickly, all of you will tell me the consistency of the batter that we have here. Yes. Yeah, everybody is so correct. It is a ribbon consistency. Now, if you go and check the screenshot that you have taken for the ingredient list, the cake batter ingredient list calls for some water also. You can use that water towards the end, like in the last moment, you can add that water and mix your batter. Or what I prefer, I add that batch of water to my milk itself and I make it a buttermilk and use it in my cakes. Either ways is fine. It's up to you people. Okay. Now, our cake batter is ready. The ring size is 5.5 inches ring, ma'am. Okay, now this will go inside the oven. I told you I have preheated my oven at a temperature of 165 to 180 degrees. Ideally, I have got a Morphy Richards OTG with me. I prefer baking all of my sponges at 170 degrees. Okay. Cocoa powder brand is Van Houten, medium intensity. Now, I'll keep this in the oven. It will somewhat take a time of 35 to 40 minutes. Please, according to your machines, go and check after 35 minutes. It can take up to 40 minutes. This particular batch which I'm baking, which is half the quantity, which I'll be baking in my OTG, takes 38 minutes to be very precise. Okay. Now, I'll quickly keep this in the oven and we'll start with cutting. How do you cut nice layers of these cakes and how do we quickly assemble the cake? Okay. The important part is coming up, so stay tuned. I'll be back in a second.
Akshita ma'am will be explaining and giving the answers to all the questions at the end. Don't worry. Yes, Gopal, you can ask your query. You can type in the chat box. Ma'am will be checking the query.
Yeah, people, you can come up with the questions. We'll start off with the cutting nice layers of the cake then.
Hello, ma'am. You told you use only half the recipe. So that means if you use the whole recipe, you get 1 kg cake, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Approximately 850 grams of cake you'll be getting.
Okay, right. Thank you.
Welcome.
Ma'am, why didn't you use baking powder?
Yeah. Okay, I'll be coming to it. The reaction I told you, the science behind our cake is the reaction of baking soda and buttermilk. We needn't go with additional leavening agents in our cake. That is not at all suggested. So we have not used the baking powder here.
Ma'am, you have said that you have half the recipe. So will the time affect this halving of the recipe or baking soda, anything like that?
No, everything. I've used half the recipe means you have to divide every ingredient into half.
एक्सक्यूज मी मैम
Yeah.
मैम अगर हम कुकर या कढ़ाई में केक को बेक कर रहे हैं तो गैस पूरी फुल होनी चाहिए या सिम गैस पे करना पड़ता
नहीं,
है?
मीडियम पे आप रख सकते हो उस केस में.
और उसको प्री हीट कितनी देर पहले कितना प्री हीट करना?
प्री हीट सेम 15 मिनट करना चाहिए आइडियली कुकर को भी, बट विदाउट द विसल ऑन. विसल निकाल के.
फुल गैस पे 15 मिनट्स तक.
हाँ, आप प्री हीट तेज पे कर सकते हो, बट केक का टिन जब उसमें डालते हो तब आप मीडियम कर दिया करो. मीडियम हाई, मीडियम लो नहीं, मीडियम हाई पे रखना.
एक्सक्यूज मी मैम.
या
मैम अगर हम लोग 1 kg केक लाइक बैटर पूरा बनाते हैं और उसको हाफ ऑफ करके, तो मैं हाफ बैटर लाइक माइक्रोवेव में रखती हूँ, तो हाफ बैटर में बाहर कितनी देर वेट कर सकती हूँ उसको?
ये पर्टिकुलर बैटर आप मैक्सिमम 20 मिनट्स रख सकते हो, उससे ज्यादा मैं सजेस्ट नहीं करती हूँ. उसके बाद मैंने रख के ट्राई भी नहीं किया है और सजेस्ट भी नहीं करते हैं, क्योंकि रिएक्शन जनरली क्या होता है, वो कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड इवेपोरेट हो जाता है उसके.
तो आप लाइक 35 मिनट्स तो वैसे ही लगता है, तो मैंने बेसिकली आपको नहीं रखना है.
नहीं रखना है आइडियली. 20 मिनट्स तक आई हैव ट्राइड आउट. 15 से 20 मिनट्स मैंने रख के बेक किया है, वो ठीक रहता है. उससे ज्यादा आई कांट कमिट.
ओके ओके मैम, थैंक यू.
Yeah. So, coming to the cutting part of the cake, but before that, I would like to introduce few tools. We'll take up the questions again towards the end. ठीक है? Now, there are few important tools जो आपके पास होने चाहिए when you are beginning to assemble a cake. Okay? Now, this is the most important tool. This is a cake board. Cake board, a cake is basically layered on a cake board every time, but if you don't have a cake board at home, आप आसानी से you can do it on a plastic plate, steel plate, or even a parchment paper will do. Okay? In that case, if you don't have anything, you can grab a cardboard sheet, उसको आप aluminium foil से wrap कर लो, उसके ऊपर भी केक को stack कर सकते हो आप आसानी से. वो एक DIY हो गया अगर आपके पास कुछ भी नहीं है तो. ठीक है? Now, this is the most important tool for cutting nice layers of the cake. This is called a serrated knife or a bread knife. Okay? This particular knife will only be used for cutting nice layers. Please don't try out with any other ghar wala knife. No. A straight no for it. Now, this is a offset palette knife. Isse we spread nicely the frosting and fillings. We usually hold it like this from the top and we support it using our thumb and we use it like this. Okay? We have scrapers here. These are plastic scrapers. You can easily get OHP scrapers also, or you can have metal scrapers if you want. Okay? Now, I'll tell you how do you cut nice layers of the cake. There are few things you need to follow. Like, let's say, now, there is a particular posture you need to follow while you are cutting nice layers of the cake. What is it? You need to be like, you need to sit straight, or you can stand straight if you want. You need to keep your serrated knife perpendicular to your body. No bending like this and cutting. No, not at all. Always straight posture and knife should be perpendicular. Now, the top should be little flat. So I'm just checking off the top. I'm just making it little flatter. Nothing fancy. I'm going to store these like this in a bowl because I don't want to waste it. All these chunks can be used to make popsicles, cake pops, truffles, anything. So please don't discard these anyways. Now, I've got a flat top here. Now, I told you about I store my cakes in the freezer. I would like to show you the texture of the cake here. Do you feel that it is by any chance hard? It is bouncing back, coming to the original shape. Yes. The top part also is supposed to be hard, but see how fluffy and bouncy it is. So all those who are like thinking twice कि freezer में क्यों रखना, hard हो जाएगा, no, it will come back to the nice original texture. Don't worry. Freezer में if you are storing cakes, you can easily store it for 7 days and use it to make your assemble your cakes. Okay. Now, the first thing you need to do is I have put this cake upside down. मैंने रख दिया है ऐसे upside down रख दिया. Now, the first thing I need to do is I will eyeball 3 layers. इससे मैं 3 layers mark करूंगी almost कि 3 layers मुझे मिल जाए. तो I'm just doing a marking like this. ठीक है? I'll show you guys. I'll zoom in and show. Are you able to see 2 marks here? Yes? Now, I have done a marking at one point. I will quickly go and do the marking on all the sides of this circle. ठीक है? Very quickly. I'm just marking. See, I'm not cutting anything, and I am keeping my knife perpendicular and my posture is straight. I'm keeping my body straight. I'm not bending over anyways. First line I've marked. The second line also I'll do a mark and then I'll show you guys. You have to turn your, like this is a turntable. अगर टर्नटेबल नहीं है तो आप नॉर्मल ऐसे ही किसी भी प्लेट पे या एक बोल को नीचे रख लो, उसके ऊपर एक प्लेट रख के भी आप कर सकते हो. Now, I have made a mark. I would like to show you guys. See, are you seeing a mark throughout the circle? Yes. Hope everybody is not sleeping. Everybody is with me because we have a very important part to be discussed here. Yes, thank you, people. So now comes the cutting part. I have made a mark. Then you proceed. You go ahead, do the cutting. How do I do the cutting? The first important thing, you need to be very gentle on this cake. Very gentle means very delicate. Okay. Now, initially we were putting our knife perpendicular. Now, we will put our knife at an angle of 30 degrees. Did you see the difference? Earlier it was like this. Now it will be like this at an angle of 30 degrees. And we need to make sure that we are following a motion. What is the motion? We will bring our knife from outwards to inwards. Away from the body, I will bring it towards my body like this. Very gently, I'll just slide my knife and I'll turn the table meanwhile. Okay? See, it is at an angle here. I'm just sliding my knife very gently. Don't go hard, be patient. Are you guys noticing something regarding the crumbs? Yes or no? The freezed cakes, I told you a proper method of freezing your cakes, then thawing it and then using it. What it gives as an advantage, it ensures that your cakes are not shedding much of the crumbs. See, very less and minimal crumbs are coming out while you're cutting. It is because your cakes were freezed for overnight. Now, see the texture of the cake. Soft, fluffy enough, good to go. I'll keep this aside. I'll start off with my second layer, the same way I did for my first layer. Be very gentle, be patient while you are cutting layers of the cake. Nice. Perfect. See the crumbs? Soft, nice. Now, the third layer is little thicker, so I would chuck it from the top like this. And I'll keep the remaining the sponge discards to make my popsicles. Now, for soaking your sponge, name of the plastic paper is a cling film wrap. CLING.
Ma'am.
Cling film wrap. Yes, dear.
Ma'am, if you chuck out this cake pieces, will the weight vary, ma'am?
Not much. See, okay. It is perfect here. Now comes an important part, which is the soaking syrup. I am using water here because my cake is already very sweet. Now, how do you make a simple syrup? It is basically equal parts of sugar mixed with equal parts of water. You bring it to a nice boil. By nice boil, I mean for at least 2 to 3 minutes. Let it boil. When it has boiled for 2 to 3 minutes, you take it off the heat. Then you let it cool and you can use that for the... No, you can't use Coke for the soaking syrup. You can use the same simple syrup for soaking up your cakes. But if you find that it is way too sweet, then you can dilute it with little bit of water. You can store that soaking syrup in the refrigerator for quite long, for 1 to 2 months easily. You can dilute it with water and use the quantity you want for your cakes. Okay? Now, I'll bring the frosting and we'll quickly assemble the cake. But yeah, Yogita, are you there?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
So you wanted to come up with a surprise for everybody here?